joined by Democratic National Committee Chairman Tim Kaine, formerly the governor of Virginia. Thank you for your time tonight, sir.
You bet, Keith. Glad to be with you.
You heard Rand Paul encouraging you, please keep on attacking the chamber. Do you expect to oblige the man?
Well, the American public has a right to know who is funding campaign ads. That's the issue here, Keith. The Republicans have made a concerted effort this cycle to funnel as much of the campaign financing as possible to secret groups. By doing that, they've turned back on 35 years of development that came out of the Watergate scandal toward openness and transparency. And they're doing it in a way that is shocking Americans. Americans have a right to know who's funding the campaign ads. And any Republican who wants to stand up and say, no, Americans don't have a right to know, I would encourage them to do that.
The ABC headline on your interview this morning read, Tim Kaine worried Karl Rove may be right, obviously referencing Rove's claim that donations have been pouring in since the reality of the situation involving particularly the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and Rove's organizations has gotten a little public traction. Are you indeed worried that Karl Rove might be right and this is turning out to a fundraising thing for the Republicans?
No, and I never said that in any interview. We're pointing this out because we think the polling suggests, but more important, the right and wrong of this suggests that the Republicans are pushing a secret agenda. They are over, and the story of this, for the reporters that care to focus on it, and I'm glad that you are, is that the Republicans are running a concerted effort to hide their donors from the American public. And the reason they're doing that is that the American public would be shocked to find out who is supporting their candidates. It's people who want to repeal Wall Street reform, repeal health care reform, possibly others, even including foreign entities who are promoting the outsourcing of American jobs in the midst of the worst economy since the 1930s. They're embarrassed about who their donors are, and that's why they're hiding them.
Mr. Rove has made this claim, and as we showed before, the math doesn't seem to add up, because if he has gotten $100,000 in contributions and he's able to produce $2 million, he sort of proves the point of the entire story, that they can take money and pull it out of mystery orifices. But purely on the bottom line of fundraising, is this issue playing out to any significant degree for your party in the last week or so?
Well, Keith, yeah, we've seen, look, the Democratic National Committee, all of our dollars come from individuals. We don't raise money from corporations, PACs, or federal lobbyists, and we're raising more money than we've ever raised in our history in a midterm election. But I think it's interesting that Karl Rove's, his first response to this attack was not to defend the rightness of what they are doing, but to say, oh, great, it's a great fundraising thing for us. He has not even addressed the merits of the claim I've made, that one of the biggest improvements in American politics since Watergate has been the trend toward openness and disclosure, and that they are making a concerted effort to roll back that 35-year trend toward openness. He hadn't even defended that. He's just, in a very Karl Rove-like way, rubbed his hands and say, wow, maybe I can raise some more money off this. When the guy who was the architect of their entire plan is worried about the money and not worrying about doing what's right for the American people, that gives you a pretty clear contrast between the two parties today.
Well, you're not going to get very far talking openness to Karl Rove, but that's a rhetorical point for another time.
But you know what? The good news is the good news is the American public cares about this, as demonstrated by the polling.
And to that point, what is next as a matter of strategy? Do you have somewhere to go with this next week and in the days before the midterms?
Well, I think we're going to continue to talk about it. The polling shows that over 80% of Americans, Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, this is not a partisan issue, think they have a right to know who is funding these campaigns. And we're going to point out that the Republicans are violating that basic expectations of the American electorate, and in particular races where candidates are being benefited from these secret contributions. We're going to put them on the carpet and have our candidates, as in the Kentucky race you showed, pin down their folks about why they are trying to buy elections with secret money.
Well, good luck with that, because it's like trying to pick mercury up off the floor, particularly in the case of Dr. Paul in Kentucky. The chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Governor Tim Kaine, great thanks for your time. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Keith.
Next, it is the chairman of the largest single corporate donor to the Republican Governors Association. Turns out he gave even more than we thought. It's $1 and $200.